Somebody say yeah. Say it again, say yeah. Somebody say yeah for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You look good out there, baby. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look here. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die. Look here. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, I wish I could come out there where you are, baby. A long time coming, but I know, look at here, a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look at here. Let me say one more thing. I go to the movie and I go downtown. But all I can hear is somebody keep telling me, oh boy, don't hang around. It's been a long. If anybody know what I'm talking about, let me see you wave your hand. I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. But I've got to take my time and say this, look. Then I go to my brother. Yes, sir. And I tell him, I said, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me. He knocks me back down on my. There's been times that I thought, somebody say yeah, I could last long. I know I'm able. I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, good God Almighty, a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look at here, one more time. Look. Then I go to my brother. Somebody take your hand back and forth like this. Everybody. You sitting in the first balcony too. Heavenly please. All over the auditorium tonight. All over the. Hallelujah. But he winds up knocking me. Back down on my knees. That's the times what I thought I could last for long. No, I know, baby.
Hello, this is Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on the all-new #1 global radio station, WMAD. Before I do my live broadcasting, I always dine in at the all-new Main Street Seafood Restaurant located in downtown Columbia, Louisiana, owned and operated by Miss Brett. Check them out. I did.
Racism. The belief that all members of each race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race or races. Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, each and every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the #1 global 24-hour radio station, WMAD. Join my co-host April Ayala and I as we make an attempt to bring this evil system and a way of life for some to the forefront and have an open discussion with civility and honesty with hopes of minimizing this problem that has affected so many lives. We ask that you join us. We all can make a change, and we surely can make a difference.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. Today we're going to talk about a subject that most people are afraid to even talk about. Today's topic is race relation. Is it better or worse in 2015? Ignorance is a state of being uninformed or a lack of knowledge. Many people today wear this definition all over their face. They range from the professional realm, the blue-collar realm, and to be quite honest, from all walks of life. Race relations in this country have never been easy, and with that being said, it would never go away as long as people remain ignorant. Our message is clear. We want you to understand that in this country, we have a long way to go when it comes to communicating our differences so others can understand who we are and what we are about. Because of ignorance, the disenfranchised shall stay unnoticed. Because of ignorance, people will never understand the evil feeling that comes with racism. Thank you for joining the Smoking Glass Hour today as we talk about these issues that others won't even touch. Facilitating meaningful conversation about race isn't an easy task, but a local collaborative effort is up to the challenge. Our message once again is clear, and our goal, which aims to take conversations surrounding race relation beyond news feeds and comment section on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all those other sites that are out there. The collaborative on this topic is to bring people together from all areas in hopes of turning online interaction into more meaningful face-to-face conversation. A meaningful face-to-face conversation is a singular point of contact that has the power to activate a ripple effect in our communities. If we, the people, are to work together, how far outwards can we extend the radius of progress? I'd like to say pretty far, it seems. For me, Black lives matter. For me, white lives matter. And to be quite blunt, all lives matter to me. Way before Black Lives Matter became this social media movement, before it became a hashtag, it's always been a part of my work. I, along with many others, have been saying these things for years about mistreatment and injustices. Black Lives Matter has achieved global reach. All lives matter should have global reach. People, groups, and all other types of organizations out there need to set up panels to continue delving into how America confronts race injustice and its relationship with violence. We need to be able to have this conversation about race on many different levels simultaneously. We have to be able to talk to people who we have no earthly idea who they are, who have a lower understanding of race, And at the same time, we should be able to communicate to people who have a heightened understanding as well. So what am I saying? We're talking about those who live in poverty. We're talking about those who live the rich and famous lifestyle. And we're talking about all of those in between. So when you define all once again, wherever you're at, consider everything around you without excluding anything. The very moment you don't exclude everything that's around you, you have now defined all. All means all. At some point, the goal is to globally scale empathy development by developing opportunities for users to exchange ideas and information in person. Okay, in person. Not on social media, not in the privacy of your home, not when you're hid behind the curtains. We're talking about face-to-face conversation. Because the only way you're going to know what your fellow man is thinking is when you allow him to open his mouth and open his mouth freely. Starbucks, remember, the coffee chain launched Race Together initiatives earlier part of this year to encourage customers to discuss racial matters, a move that was quickly written off as a marketing ploy and called off by the company. Some have questioned why did they call it off. Some were actually happy that they called it off. For me, I wish they would have went on because, see, when you're dealing with topics that people don't understand because of a lack of ignorance, they want you to back off, but you can't back off. You must press forward. You must keep striving toward perfection. Now, we know that Starbucks, they had a good intention. Starbucks' intentions with Race Together around, they tried to start civic conversation and they felt like they were in the right place. But the execution wasn't designed to facilitate deeper engagement in a way that was productive and appropriate. Well, let me tell you what I do on Facebook. I take the toughest topic that's trending during the day and I post that question, that topic in the form of a question. And as a result, many people, they go out and they comment. Why? Because the number one goal is to allow them to feel comfortable in what it is that they say and to try to get an understanding from their point of view. Now, it's highly impossible or it's very unlikely that you would be allowed to tell a person how they should feel. So if you have never experienced something that another person has experienced, rather than come across as appearing to be ignorant or insensitive, probably the best thing to do is take the Bible's understanding, which is be slow to speak and quick to hear. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that there is a job that we can do. Now, when you stay in these small places where they still have this mentality that they're superior and inferior, of course you're going to receive a little pushback. But because somebody's pushing you back, don't mean that you can't push forward. If you remember when you were in elementary school, there was this little game called tug of war, where you put people on this end, the left side, and you put people on this end, the other side, which is the right side, and somewhere in between where there was a line drawn. And whoever pulled the strongest, they were able to pull the other opponents across the line, and they were the victors. They end up winning. Same rule applies with this. Not just racism and race relation. There's a lot of tough topics out there. Think about those who live different lifestyles. Think about those who choose to engage in other activities that we feel like we don't understand because of our ignorance to the problem. Now, gathering people becomes it becomes a focal point. Now, we gather people because they want to talk about these issues. But what we want to do also is to allow these conversations to happen beyond the rooms themselves. And again, we're talking about the privacy of your own home. We're talking about talking to your neighbor. We're talking about tell a neighbor, tell a friend. We're talking about all aspects and all walks of life. Now, when you look at what's going on in 2015, nearly half of all Americans say that they believe that race relations in the United States have gotten worse since President Barack Obama was elected president. And that was according to a straw poll that was done by Monmouth University. Just 15% of Americans say that race relations have improved under America's first black president. Now, here's my question. When did race relations improve with the previous presidents who were all white? So don't try to put this big burden on this one president when in fact those previous presidents or those predecessors never even touched the format of racism. Now, we know that Lyndon B. Johnson, he had to deal with it because they seen it as a benefit. The question is, did it benefit the way that it should have benefited? Or did we refuse to have that serious conversation about race back when it was going on? When it started, when we talked about post Jim Crow, post segregation. So the question remains now, what is it that I as an individual can do to make a difference? Now, 40% of those who participated, they said that there had been no change in the status of race relationship, whereas 43% said things had gotten worse. Now, white respondents were most likely to say things had gotten worse, whereas African Americans were nearly evenly split on the question. Both African Americans and Latinos were more likely than whites to say things had not changed since President Obama was elected, though Latinos were more likely than African Americans to say things had gotten worse. We're looking at about 5:12 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to pause and take a short break. We're going to play you some Idle Talk, and I'll be back in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Thanks.
It's time to take back control of our society. Today's world requires an open and honest discussion about the current events. On the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, our goal is to engage people from different walks of life into a healthy discussion, creating a positive outcome. When it comes to global events, tune in to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on Monday nights at 7:30. We don't just listen to the news, we bring you the news.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. It's about 5:17 p.m. Central Standard Time. Today we're talking race relation. Has it gotten better or worse in 2015? Now, we know that respondents, white respondents, were also the only group in which slightly fewer than half described racial and ethnic discrimination as a big problem, although an additional 21% described it as a small problem. Now, a whopping 70% of both black and Latino respondents described it as a big problem. When we break it down by age, people aged 18 to 34 were more likely to consider it a big problem, followed by people aged 35 to 54 and people 55 years or older. Race and racism have dominated American politics and news headlines for much of this president's tenure in office. My question is, when did it improve under any previous president? In the 50 years since then, in 1963, 68, somewhere up in there, Americans have changed beyond recognition. Under Jim Crow, blacks in South of the country risked lynching if they tried to register to vote. They were forced to use separate and inferior water fountains at school. They were locked in lowly occupation jobs. In the 40s, 60% of black women with jobs were domestic servants. Now, African Americans are more likely to vote than any other racial group, at least if the president is on the ballot. There are certain biases that candidates out there have that are hard to detect. Let's look at the governor of Massachusetts. Mr. Obama won more of the white vote in 2008 than John Kerry did in 2004. Now, if we look back during Martin Luther King days, interracial love was illegal in many states. Today, 15% of new marriages crosses racial lines. So we're looking at progress. For black men, the number is 24%. In King's Day, segregation was the law in the South and the norm of the North. Today, all white neighborhoods are effectively extinct. Now, we know that that is progress, so we know that we can do better. The question is, how much better do we want to do? No one today finds it odd to see blacks running big cities. Look at Washington, D.C. Look at Philadelphia. Look at Denver. Or let's look at some of the big companies, Merck, Xerox, American Express, are playing, things on God like on the silver, screen like Morgan Freeman. Now, we also know that blacks' earning shot up at the Civil Rights Revolution, both in absolute terms and relative. Now, progress is there. Progress has been made. Progress interrupted. Let's look at in recent years. Economic progress has stalled. Between 2000 and 2011, black median household income fell from 64% to 58% of the white figure. The wealth gap is even more alarming because mortgage homes make up more of poor people's wealth. The gap widened dramatically after the housing bubble burst in 2005. Now, we also know that the white family median net worth was 11 times that of blacks. In 2009, it was 20 times. On other measures, blacks are still struggling. Other people are still struggling. We all struggling. So the point I'm trying to make is we all have a job to do. We all have our work cut out. Many struggles in school. The average black 17-year-old reads and manipulates numbers about as well as white 13 years old. Many fall foul to the law. By the age group of 30 to 34, one black man in 10 is behind bars. The figure for white men is 1 out of 61. And the traditional black family has collapsed since Martin Luther King days. If we look back in the 60s, many thought it as a crisis that it was nearly 25% of black children that were born out of wedlock. Today, it is 72%, for whites only 29%. And most of these children are being raised by mothers who are truly alone. There's no cohabiting. Explanation of these figures tend to fall into two camps. Some stress the lingering effects of racism. Black schools are underfunded. Employees overlook black job applicants. The criminal justice system is based on biases against certain people. If this diagnosis is correct, the best perception may be more funding for inner cities, sterner enforcement of anti-discrimination laws, and better training for cops and other elected officials throughout the political realm. Conservatives, black and white, they tend to argue that although racism still exists, it is largely up to blacks to solve their own problem. And that, to me, is something that I truly believe in. The only person who can save your house is you. The only people who can tell you what to do inside of your home is you. So I concur with the comment. Americans who finish high school work full time and wait until they are 21 and married before they have children have only a 2% chance of being poor. Desperately few blacks meet all three fairly basic conditions. Now, we know that there was an era of Jim Crow. We know that there was an era of segregation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause and come back shortly. We're going to discuss a little about the Jim Crow shadows, and then we're going to try to close out the segment. So stay tuned. we are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. We're looking at about 5:28 p.m. Central Standard Time. Today's topic, we're talking about race relation, better or worse in 2015. Let's look at some of the shadows of Jim Crow. Although individuals are ultimately responsible for their own fate, the legacy of discrimination is hard to shake off. Poverty begets poverty, even more now than in the past. As technology advances, those who struggle at school are falling further behind in the workplace. And the economic crisis hits single-parent families very hard. If we look at the last couple of nights, we've talked about ex-cons, ex-felons, how hard it is for them to go out into society after they have paid their debts to society and still receive that revolving door. There is no safety that's there, no safety net for those who are out there struggling. There are ways, I believe, in which the government can help, not just blacks, not just Latinos, but all people from all walks of life, not by tackling racism head on, but by addressing the flaws in the American system that hurt all peoples of all colors, of all backgrounds. The scandal of the justice system is not that it is biased, but that it is brutal, to some more than others. Locking up nonviolent drug offenders for decades tears families apart. Far better to give minor criminals of all races drug treatment, ankle tags, and helping them find a job is just for starters. Likewise, experience shows that inner city schools cannot be fixed by throwing money at them. Many are run for the benefit of unshakable teachers rather than pupils and other things that are necessary. And as we know, the president has observed himself and stated that many black students sneer that a classmate who reads is trying to act another color, and then they are shunned. This self-destructive cultural norm is almost non-existent in private schools, which is one reason why black parents are so keen on vouchers and charter schools. When the reformers call school choice the new civil rights struggle, they have a point. There's not a great deal that politicians can do about the collapse of black families, but school and prison reforms should help. Black women, unsurprisingly, prefer partners who are neither ill-educated nor incarcerated. Role models can help as well. We know that black men, partly because of certain things, they have obstacles and struggles. Not just black men, but we're talking about all men. We're talking about race relation. Is it better or worse in 2015? America's shameful past is fading. But just because it's fading, it does not mean that it should be forgotten. But it can and should be forgiven. Skin color is nothing like the barrier it once was in certain aspects. But the pursuit of happiness, to which King referred to, is never an easy task, and it should never end. The Voting Rights Act is as necessary today as it was during the era of Jim Crow. Now let's contrast this hyperbole with the Supreme Court's actual ruling. By a 5-4 vote, it held that while certain states may still be required to submit changes in their voting rules for federal approval, Congress must update the data it uses to determine which are subject to its adjudication. The dramatic changes of the last 40 years, the majority concluded, have rendered the existing formulas worthless. This should not come as a surprise. That formula was last amended in 1972 while George Wallace was still the governor of the great state of Alabama. Now, to us at the Smoking Glass Hour, to all of us out there who are involved with community action, to all of us out there who believe in social justice, to all of us out there who believes that liberty and justice for all should apply to all and no one should be excluded. Diversity It does matter. Why? Because diversity provides an assortment of benefits that can enhance any workplace, can enhance any classroom or community. You can use diversity workshop to foster cultural awareness. You can use your awareness of racially sensitive language to avoid alienating others and to build strong cross-cultural relationships. Now, we're going to pause once again. We're looking at about 5:33 p.m. Central Standard Time. You listen to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. We're going to pause and we'll be right back. I'm going to play your Little Alabama, Feels So Right. Stay tuned.
Whisper to me softly, breathe words upon my skin. No one's near and listening, so please don't say goodbye. Just hold me close and love me. Press your lips to feels so right, feels so right. Lying here beside you, I hear the echoes of your sighs. Promise me you'll stay with me and keep me warm tonight. So hold me close and love me. Give my heart a smile. Feels so right. Feels so right. High. You're loving me so easy. Your wish is my command. Just hold me close and love me. Tell me it won't end. Feels so right. Feels so right. Feels so right. Oh, you feel so right, baby.
At Horace Auto, we don't just repair parts, we restore pride. From oil change, brake repair, or full service engine repair, give Horace Auto a chance to work on all of your automotive repairs. Horace Auto is owned and operated by Chris Howard, located in downtown Columbia, just off 165 at 235 Meredith Street, Columbia, Louisiana.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. We're talking today about race relations, better or worse, in 2015. We talked a little about diversity, how it matters. Let's look at the legal system. once used to enforce racial discrimination. The legal system went on to enforce equal rights for all Americans. Particularly the Supreme Court's decision involving desegregation in schools and interracial marriage helped to change the landscape of race in America. Today, in 2015, the legality of issues such as affirmative action and racial profiling continues to be discussed both in and outside of the courtroom. Moreover, the role of race and racism in politics continues to be debated on the local level, on the state level, and on the national level. Race-conscious parenting. Speaking to kids about race can be challenging for parents, but it's not a topic to be avoided, especially in mixed-race families. Discover how to discuss race with children and even get them involved in anti-racism campaigns promoting racial sensitivity. Teach our kids of various ethnic backgrounds to navigate race at school, at home, in the communities, and all in between. Let's look at interracial relationship. The marriages that used to be illegal in the country. Now interracial relationships are no longer taboo in most circles, but still face barriers and problems. Let's learn the history of interracial relationships and how society views them today. If we look at the workplace, the debates rage about the need for affirmative action to create a level playing field in the employment base. While many companies value diversity in the workplace, others have yet to make grounds in this area and continue engaging in discrimination during job interviews, let's learn to avoid hiring discrimination. When we look at Hollywood, the presentation of race in Hollywood, race in music, and other forms of entertainment can make or break stereotypes. Now, when we go from the national level to the state level, let's bring it locally and directly to each individual person who may be listening and or who may go back and listen to the archive. How about taking some action? How about becoming an anti-racist activist by taking part in letter writing campaigns and building relationships with the media, building relationship with the Smoking Glass Hour, building relationship with your local communities, building relationship with your local organizations, and building relationship with your fellow man. Launch an organization or get a job that allows you to fight for those of us who experiences this. Let's take organizations for an example. A variety of civil rights organizations have left their mark on race relations in the United States. How about teaching and learning about the achievements of groups such as the National Urban League, groups such as the NAACP, groups such as CORE, which stands for Congress of Racial Equality? How about understanding race itself? Race is among the most complicated issues in the United States. So what is race exactly? And what is racism? That's the question that I leave and pose to you. What is race? And exactly what is racism? There are challenges that our kids face in the upcoming years. Those who are running for office have an obligation to put a dent in bad race relations. You can't sit idle and expect to win a war. You can't be afraid to get in the ring and throw a punch that will knock out the evil system of negative race relations. Again, our message is clear. You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. Now, this is going to drive home, and the intent is to drive it straight home. So if the shoe fit, you have to wear it. As many Christians sit in the church pew on Sunday praising Jesus, but immediately after church, you are talking negative about people you have no clue about. As many Christians sit in the church pew on Sunday praising Jesus, but put the biggest frown on their face when they see someone visit their church from another ethnic background. You, my friend, are part of the problem. And in the end, the day of judgment shall render a verdict to you and for all of us. We're going to pause right now, and we're going to play a little Motown, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, and I'll be right back.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for, and look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change, everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Listen, sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. We're looking at about 5:46 p.m. Central Standard Time. I want to send a shout out to Katie out there who's listening to, was listening rather to Alabama Feels So Right. So Katie, thanks for listening in to the Smoking Glass Hour, and I hope you enjoyed the program. I'm sitting here with your husband, Gary, the engineer in the background. So I want to say thanks again. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend to tune in each and every day as we broadcast. Now, tomorrow we'll be dealing strictly with local and state politics. We'll talk about some of the candidates that's running for sheriff, some of the candidates that's running for clerk of court, and tomorrow I will feature Miss Dina Domain, who has given me her bio. She's the last of several who would provide me their bio. So we will be featuring Miss Dina Domain tomorrow, who is a candidate for the clerk of court. You can catch us at Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, some of those other media sites out there, Google Plus, so forth and so on. You can also catch us WMAD 24-hour Global Radio, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can go to www.thesmokingglasshour.com. Again, you have been listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Today's topic, race relation, better or worse in 2015. Thanks for tuning in, and may you have a great day.